Hello and happy new week, friends. Welcome back to my channel and also this week's June 14th, 2021 Tarot and Oracle Spirit reading. As always, this reading is not meant to replace or override legal or medical guidance or your free will. So, I've shuffled the cards beforehand and have taken a photo of all the cards that came out. It just so happens that only 3 cards came out today for the tarot reading, which are the cards that you see at the bottom. At the top are the guidance cards that I also drew. The Death card in reverse. The 9 or completion card is the guidance card from the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. We also have on the bottom of the deck the 9 of Wands. The first card out was the 9 of Cups. The second card out was the Daughter of Swords or the Page of Swords. And the third and last card to come out is the 8 of Pentacles. So when I took a quick overview, overall there is a sense of being on the precipice of change or some kind of release. If we were to imagine, right, this precipice, this crossing over of a threshold, imagine that moment, that one simple moment, just when the actor is emerging from backstage shadows out onto the stage. You know, they've still got one foot in that backstage preparation rehearsal space, and then the other is actually moving forward into the act itself, moving out onto stage. So there's this capture of this split viewing. Or you could also imagine the moment a scuba diver, you know, just as they are dipping their eye line below the water, there is that split second where they're still part in the world of air and they're also part in the world of water with their eye line. And this is a split view of both the boat that brought them there floating on top of the water and the aquatic life just teeming in that deep blue water below. There's still that sense of that snapshot of a transition in time, that split viewing, being in two worlds. So even the most mundane of transitions happen for us daily without us noticing it, right? This week is a continuation of a transition and a movement to some place we've long been preparing to arrive. We're still able to see both worlds, and yet we have arrived at a transition point. The energy of this week begins with an invitation to spiritual attunement in the 9 of Cups, to rest and to gather here where you are and consider the journey you've been on for quite a while. The cups seem to say, rest, weary traveler, share your story. Perhaps you can share that story with a group that has fulfilled your need for spiritual growth and belonging. Or perhaps you're needing others to attune with you as you move on your journey. It's up to you. There is a sense, though, that this is an independent yet collective growth. Perhaps it is time you gathered your cups, you know, your moments of growth, your aha moments, your inner knowings, and just do a review. Does your outer world reflect all your growth, reflect everything that you've gone through? The beginning of this week is an invitation to celebrate and honor you, with you, for you. Why do you need this self-confirmation? You know, we all need it as we're emerging into what feels like this new world. Who are we now? Are we in the right space that supports this usness, you know, this who we are, who I am? Are we supported by a tribe outwardly? But let's go into the Daughter of Swords or the Page of Swords. This is where the owl with that sword and that card swoops in to bring clarity. The owl is known for its keen night vision and wisdom. In tarot, the Daughter of Swords, the Page of Swords, is preceded by the theme of sacrifice in the Ten of Swords. Swords represent the air, thoughts, wisdom. Clarity in thought is hard won when by the time we've reached the page in the Page of Swords, this clarity has come from a sacrifice. It is hard won. But if we think of it in a softer sense, right, I would put it in this idea that clarity brings a sense of peace, a sense of everything coming together, that everything that you went through beforehand was for a reason, right? And I actually want to do a little bit of a side note here. Every time I see court cards, they're one of the I just sometimes just get into this thing of thinking that when court cards come up, the page, the king, the queen, the knight, these are often, in my head, I instantly go forth to it being a person outside of me. When really, this is the readings that I hope to do are actually, how do I find myself in these cards? So I'm going to now read in order to embrace the true nature of the Daughter of Page Swords here for all of us in this reading. So lately, I've been listening to an audio series by Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes. If you know her, you probably know her work called Women Who Run with the Wolves. She also has an audio series that she had done. This one is called Mother Night, Myths, Stories, and Teachings to Learn How to See in the Dark. At one point in this workshop series, while discussing ways to find your purpose, she describes a wind occurrence called the Chinook winds. And these are winds that are so strong that the way she described it, if you took off your clothes and ran out into the Chinook winds and just let yourself fall into the winds, you would not hit the ground. That's how strong the winds are. They would support you. You wouldn't fall over. So this visual perfectly describes what the Daughter of Swords is walking us into, right? This standing in the wind to be supported by it, to remember who we are and be supported. I think that's what the Daughter of Swords is bringing. It's this clarity of who we are and just kind of falling into the wind of that understanding and not knowing that we will not fall because we now have the wind of belief in ourselves holding us up. And thoughts. The swords represent thoughts. It's perfect. This is a perfect visual. This is a perfect... It just came into my understanding. Dr. Estes reminds us that thoughts are like the wind, and our thoughts support us. And again, personally, I've been struggling with a little bit of an energy shift that has to do with home and belonging. And so over the course of a week of journaling, I was able to recover a supportive thought. I don't have to figure out what got lost in the past, where I might have lost my way. What I need to understand is what supports me in the here and now. And I think with that, we give ourselves the gift of clarity with this Daughter of Swords. This is what this is. We are gifting ourselves clarity when we acknowledge who we are and we lean into belief of who we are and our own self-knowledge supports us. And this is the benefit, right? In understanding the power of a transformative moment of standing between two worlds, no matter how mundane, right? Think back to that actor, think back to that scuba diver, right? We actually sustain a sense of presence, a balance. And that's where the Eight of Pentacles comes in. The Eight of Pentacles, the number 8 itself just being a symbol of the infinite, but it brings us into a space of repetition in creation. And it is here where we begin to grasp what needs to be done to produce what sustains us. Pentacles represent earth, our resources. These are the things that we find valuable in sustaining and regenerating who we are. So whatever nurtures you, this is what this Pentacles is representing. And we have now learned how to repeat it over and over and over again. And so I believe this reading holds a hint of immortality, really. If you're willing to suspend a little bit of belief here, I really like the idea of myths and stories, and I really, in these readings, would love for folks to, yes, leave one foot in the world of waking up and going to work, and there's an alarm clock, and I've got to hit the clock, and I've got to get in the car and go to this place. There's one foot in that world, but when you're going into spiritual work, you're planting another foot firmly into a world of suspended belief. And this reading, because I see all the sweets here, we've got the wands, we've got the cups, we've got the swords, and we've got the pentacles. There is that idea of the magician, the manifesting magician here. However, in this particular reading, I sense the emerging of a self-producing feminine energy. And again, when I say feminine, I don't mean woman. I don't mean man. I just mean there's a nodal, networky kind of a build to these things. But to continue on, the overall theme of the reading, death in reverse here at the top, suggests exactly that. No more death. I know that sounds really, really weird, and I thought, I looked at it like, is that really correct? Because I didn't get a sense of, I got a sense really of it being reverberating again with that idea of a mundane transformation. Something that is not like this huge moment of aha, and then there's this whole world of, it's in the moments where, you're quietly moving from one space to another that you notice these things. And so, because when I first looked at the death card, I saw resistance, I saw letting go, and then I softened, and I was opening up to the message. Because then my intuition said, no, this is just a lesser version of death in the upright position. This is more like suspending belief. And so here we are, right? We're at this spiritual and psychological sense of immortality, this moment, this now. And so I also drew the Mystical Shaman card, 9, completion, for your guidance. That's the guidance card. And it's just really aptly represented by an Ouroboros, which is a snake eating itself. To me, that represents alchemy. That's birth and rebirth. That's self-renewal. And because it fell out on its side, I'm just going to read both the essential and medicinal meanings of the card. So let's get that for you now. Okay, the essence for the completion card. All things have a beginning, a middle, and an end. This is the nature of life, the seed, the flower, and the fruit, and of all human relationships. Completion suggests the fullness of the moment and the need to transform an old form into a new one. The invitation. You have finished a cycle, and there is no more growth or benefit from hanging on to the old. In regard to relationships, it is time to honor what has been and find a new form for the future. In your ventures, it is time to reap your harvest. Completion is a time for celebration. It is the end of summer when the fruit is ripe. The medicine. Clinging to the old form will bring only decay. When fruit is left too long on the vine, it rots. You know that it is time to move on, yet are reluctant. Do not be afraid of hurting anyone's feelings. Remember that you are responsible for your actions, not the actions of others. Mourn what is lost so you can move on. Do not be sad. Be like the sun at midday, who shines brightly, neither longing for sunrise nor dreading the dusk. Wow. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I really enjoyed doing this format. I was hoping and reaching for a shorter format. But yeah, as always, I hope you have a beautiful week, and I hope to see you next week. As always, you can reach me for a reading or a shadow retrieval session. Information is on my website, www.fifthroadspirit.com. Thank you.